My name is Monica Church. I am the Director of Student Services for the Oak Creek Franklin Joint School District. Um, I feel like I've got to put it out there that I know nothing about robotics or First Lego League other than what I see happening in Oak Creek, and I see the amazing work that's being done. So I apologize in advance if I don't use the right language or if I don't know exactly what you are saying, but my passion is around meaningfully including students with disabilities in all things. And I champion inclusive practices in athletics, in clubs, in classrooms, across our district and then southeastern Wisconsin as well. So I am confident today that together we can problem solve around any issues that you're having or facing, any barriers that our students are facing, and your expertise in coaching and in First Lego League and my passion around inclusion, I'm certain that we can come up with some solutions. So this morning, I am going to kind of give you a high level overview of why inclusion matters. My guess is that because you're here, you already know that it matters, and you're dedicated to this work. But really, inclusion matters in our bigger community because it builds teamwork and empathy and leadership skills. It provides equal access to STEM opportunities, and it strengthens innovation by bringing diverse perspectives. And when I learned more about what First Lego League stands for and its core values, I feel like it really naturally aligns, right? The work that you all are doing to promote discovery in our students, to promote innovation, to have a bigger impact. Inclusion is one of the core values, teamwork and fun. All of those core values really wrap around serving our students with disabilities, including them meaningfully in opportunities in clubs throughout our different organizations. When I looked at the core values, stating that the cornerstones are that among the fundamental elements that distinguish First Lego League from other programs of its kind. Embracing those core values, participants learn that friendly competition, mutual gain are not separate goals, and that helping one another is the foundation of teamwork. And really that is like the heart of inclusive practices in education, is really helping our students understand that we are all very diverse, right? We are all coming to a table or a location and environment, bringing our individual gifts and our individual skill set to make all of us better and our community better. So I think that this really aligns with the First Lego League core values. So high level, understanding disabilities is complex, right? Disabilities can be visible or invisible. You may see a student that has Down syndrome and they have physical characteristics that right away you're like, okay, this is a student, that has a disability. I know I might need to put some things into place for them. But oftentimes you're going to have students that have invisible disabilities. And those can be sometimes even more challenging for coaches, parent volunteers, for even teachers to really understand how can we support them, because we don't see it on the outside. But they might be having invisible disabilities such as learning disabilities, maybe that they're struggling to read, maybe they're struggling to process information. They might have ADHD. We do have and are experiencing in our state, in our country, that many students now are being diagnosed with ADHD, right? We don't see that on the outside, but we can see that in their behaviors. We can see that in maybe their ability to attend to a task. Those invisible disabilities could really impact how they perform within your club. Being able to follow directions is really challenging for a student with ADHD because they don't have and haven't had their prefrontal cortex, that front part of their brain is not fully developed. Kids kids' prefrontal cortexes aren't developed until they're 25. And the front of your brain is the one that organizes information, allows you to plan, it allows you to make decisions that are thoughtful. It really controls a lot of the behaviors that you might see. And so, in general, if our prefrontal cortex isn't developed until we're 25, and then you add on a neurodiversity, that really does impact it. So today we're going to talk through some strategies that might help, some visual supports, way to break down those instructions so that they can be more successful and so that you don't leave feeling like, gosh, oh, if only, right? It's important to focus on ability, not limitation. And I think you guys see that a lot in the work that you do. What can we do versus what can't we do? And we'll talk through some strategies that might help us to see a student's ability and their strengths and maximize that. And then it's always important to use strength-based or asset-based language. When we're working with kids, we want to promote what they can do. We want to promote that they are people first. So oftentimes you might hear someone refer to a student with a disability as a special education student, right? We want to flip that. They're a student who needs special education, or they're a student that has certain needs, recognizing that they're people first. So to go along with that invisible disability, I've got a little video that we'll watch here.
Despite his remarkable success as a stand-up comedian and actor today, Jim Carrey's journey to the top was far from easy. During his early school years, Carrey was a quiet individual who had difficulty making friends. At the time, he was struggling with undiagnosed dyslexia, which posed significant challenges in his academic pursuits. To cope with his difficulties, Carrey turned to humor, often using it as a way to connect with others. However, this unconventional approach led some teachers to view him as disruptive. But Carrey realized that he possessed a unique ability to make people laugh, which ignited his creativity and paved the way for his career in acting. He developed an exceptional memory as a strategy to overcome his reading obstacles. Carrey's resilience in the face of adversity ultimately propelled him to achieve great success, making him an inspiration for many who face similar challenges. Despite facing challenges, 13-year-old Millie Bobby Brown has risen to stardom as Eleven in Stranger Things. Brown's passion for acting has been unstoppable since she was 8 years old, despite never having taken acting classes. Additionally, she is completely deaf in one ear. Born with partial hearing loss, Brown eventually lost all hearing on one side after a long time using ear tubes. When performing, she relies on her other senses and communicates emotions through her facial expressions. Singing and acting with partial hearing loss hasn't shaken her confidence. She simply enjoys doing what she loves and encourages others to do the same, regardless of skill level. Brown's inspiring message is clear: pursue your passions without letting anyone stop you. In a revealing interview with Rolling Stone in 2013, Johnny Depp, the renowned actor, opened up about his visual impairment, drawing a striking comparison to Batman.
This eye, I was born with a more conical lens, so my brain never learned to see out of my left eye.
Depp disclosed that his left eye is completely blind, while his right eye suffers from nearsightedness, leaving him with blurred vision and a lifelong struggle to see clearly. He described his condition as never having proper vision, which has posed significant challenges in his professional career. During a court deposition, Depp candidly shared that he is legally blind in one eye, shedding light on the emotional toll caused by his late mother's hurtful actions. He recounted how she would demean and humiliate him by using derogatory names like cockeye and one eye. Remarkably, Depp acknowledged that the psychological and emotional abuse inflicted upon him was even more distressing than the physical pain he endured. However, Depp expressed deep gratitude for his father's unwavering strength in court. Despite enduring his mother's hurtful words, his father remained stoic, never resorting to violence or negative remarks. It is the legacy of his father's remarkable resilience and control in the face of adversity. Sylvester Stallone, known for his tough on-screen characters in movies like Rocky and Rambo, has a distinct snarled lip and facial features that fans have come to love. What many don't know is that these features are the result of complications during his birth. The use of forceps during delivery severed a nerve, causing paralysis in parts of Stallone's tongue and chin. However, Stallone has embraced these effects and turned them into assets for his acting career. His permanent scowl suits the rough and tumble characters he portrays, such as Rambo. Additionally, his slightly slurred speech adds authenticity to characters like Rocky Balboa, who faced assumptions about his intelligence. Stallone's challenging early life, including bullying and being underestimated due to his facial paralysis, mirrors the struggles of his iconic character Rocky. Stallone's journey resonates with Rocky's story as they transform disadvantages into strengths. Defying expectations and achieving success, Stallone's path serves as a reminder that one's perceived limitations can be surpassed, and true strength lies in overcoming obstacles and embracing one's unique qualities. Actor Daniel Radcliffe, known for his role as Harry Potter, has become a hero not only on screen but also off-screen. Radcliffe is using his platform to raise awareness about dyspraxia, a condition that affects coordination and physical movement planning. Having personally experienced mild dyspraxia, Radcliffe understands the challenges it presents. In his own childhood, he struggled with tasks like handwriting and tying shoelaces. Early school years were particularly difficult as he felt inadequate in everything, lacking any discernible talent. However, Radcliffe wants to inspire others facing similar obstacles. During a recent Facebook chat, he encouraged a 10-year-old girl not to be held back by dyspraxia, emphasizing that it never hindered his own achievements. Radcliffe believes that individuals with learning disabilities often possess extraordinary intelligence, and the struggles they face can fuel determination, hard work, and imaginative problem-solving skills.
So the purpose originally, when I was first looking for videos to kind of highlight that disabilities can be both visible and invisible, I felt like this video highlighted that, right? Although it focuses in on actors, it's often surprising to many that there are so many successful people with disabilities in our world, and we don't always know that they have disabilities. Another thing that kind of resonated for me when I was watching this is that each of those actors, turned their perceived weakness into strength, right? And they did that outside of the school setting. And that's where I think it comes back and connects to the work that you are doing. You guys are giving opportunities to students who, they may not be successful in school, but they might really be successful in a hands-on environment that you're creating for them. And so just know that the work that you do matters significantly, and you never know when you could be changing the course of someone's life. I was talking with Sue yesterday, actually, and telling her, I was like, I don't know a whole lot about this club, and I'm a little anxious to present. And we were talking about an experience that she had with a student, and it happened to be a student that had a disability, who came and participated in her club, and now has moved on, but has come back to be a leader and has come back to volunteer her time to work with the organization. And actually, Sue was telling me that it's a student with ADHD who has a lot of movement needs, who has a lot of, needs a lot of support and structure in order to be successful. But this student, this leader now, is able to connect with some other students who have ADHD. And she's able to say, you know what, Sue, like this kid needs this, and be that connection. We're changing lives every single day because now that leader has more opportunities to grow as well. Did you want to share anything about that or no?
When the student who became a mentor was first on my team, it was really upsetting because she had to move all the time. And she wasn't particularly interested in robots or project. She was a very crafty, artsy person. And so the struggle with me, like, in first, everybody has to be good at everything, whatever, is to accept that sometimes I can't do this because we wanted her to be part of it. And we found the places that she could be part of the presentation. She understood the things, but, she was always moving.
Yeah.
And our other challenge is that with that was that sometimes the other students on the team were like, well, why did she get to go do things on the cricket? And I have to be at my computer and I'm doing this research or I'm doing whatever. And so that's the reason I'm here is I don't have an answer with how
Yeah.
to work with team dynamics
Uh-huh.
because inclusion is more than just a word.
Exactly.
And that's what, that's why I'm here is to
Right.
help my team
Yeah.
to understand what inclusion really means, that we really are
Honoring everyone's strengths,
Yeah.
utilizing those. One thing that helps students understand that dynamic piece and that why might another student be able to do something that seems very different than what the norm is expected to do. One way to address that is to really say that fair isn't always equal. There's an activity that sometimes teachers do in their classrooms around like triage, right? They might present to their students, "Hey, when we think about what all kids need in my classroom, let's relate it back to kind of like an emergency room, right? Like if you had if a child came in with a scrape and it was barely bleeding, and then let's say a child came in with a broken arm, which one do you think that we're going to treat first? Maybe the broken arm, right? Okay, fair isn't always equal. And you kind of have that discussion around why do you think that is? What did that person need versus what did the scrape need? And relate it back to kind of very simple activities that they can understand. Sometimes that helps build that empathy of, okay, when we're talking about our classroom or when we're talking about our club, let's bring it back to fair isn't always equal. Why do you think that I might allow someone to do something on the cricket while I'm expecting you to do that? Let's talk through that. Oh, this person has really, really great strengths in art. Oh yeah, we need to use that, right? How is that going to benefit us long term? Why do you think I might be asking you to do the research? Well, I'm probably pretty good at research. I might not like it, but I'm pretty good at it. Okay, yes. Let's highlight your strengths. And if we can kind of come back to what are all of our strengths, and that might be some work that you need to do as a club just to talk through, like, what are the things you like? What are the things that the students value? What are they good at? And then tap into that and be very intentional. Hey, I'm having you go over and do X, Y, or Z because you're really good at that. And I'm having this person go over and do that because you're really good at that. Also, even highlighting that some kids need different things. It's okay to say, you know what, I noticed that we all need a break right now. And maybe it's that one person or one child that needs a break, but I noticed we all need a break. What do you guys need to do to calm yourself? And we talk through that, kind of that metacognition of talking them through what you're seeing and how they can help each other. So you might see students that have barriers such as physical access, challenges, workspace materials, right? Thinking through the environment. If you have a student that has more physical challenges, what can we do to minimize fall risk? How can we keep materials safe? Those are things that we want to think about. You might have students that have communication differences. So some students may have communication devices. They might have pre-programmed speech on their devices if they have a speech impairment that really limits their verbal output. Other students, they might just have difficulties with articulation, being able to utilize their language. And so there's different supports that we can put in place. I would highly encourage visuals. Anytime that you're giving directions or anytime you have steps that you want them to complete, I would highly recommend having it broken down in a visual. And it can be dependent on the age level. It doesn't have to be pictures. It could be words, and you can kind of tease that out by the age level. You might have students that have difficulties with social participation. They might naturally be very shy or quiet, but that could also be very much so part of their disability. they might not know how to interact with others, and we have to teach them that. And so taking time with them to show them the expected behavior, utilizing language like this is what we expect, or that was very unexpected. Unexpected is a nice way to continue to teach that, and that's a lot of teachers are using that language right now. Whoa, that was very unexpected. What could we do to fix that? Or what could be a more appropriate way to respond? You might have students that have difficulties with processing, so they need things to be slower, and that's hard in a fast-paced environment where you have a lot going on. So we can talk through what are some ways that we can break down those barriers. And then kind of like we saw in that video, a lot of our students with invisible disabilities have misunderstandings or assumptions put upon them about their abilities. So, what can you do? Setting high expectations first and foremost. A child with a disability can rise and meet your expectations. They might need supports to do that. They might need steps in place, but setting those high expectations with flexible supports is key. Provide clear instructions and visuals. Encourage peer-to-peer support. It is great, and it is a research-based practice to utilize peers, have them be the models, right? Oftentimes you might hear parents say, well, is that fair to the other child that they have to help? We're building inclusion, right? Sometimes we do need to help each other. And there's a balance there, but it is a research-based strategy that really does promote success for not only the student with a disability, but also for the non-disabled peer. And then offer multiple ways to participate. And that's where I think we can get into a discussion. What are those multiple ways? Are there multiple ways that a student can participate successfully? And maybe it looks a little different for them, like Sue had said. Okay. This video just really highlights that idea of hold tight to those high expectations. Her name is Megan Baumgar, I think it is. And she is a adult now with disabilities. And she's gonna speak to us a little bit about how to hold tight to those high expectations and don't limit a student with a disability.
Hi, teachers in Douglas County School District. My name is Megan Baumgars, and I'm here to help you with your kids in your classrooms, with a disability or without a disability. I am going to show you how to teach your students the right way. I am a special person. When I was in school, I made a lot of friends. I was in regular classes for support. I learned with other students in a regular classroom. I became a cheerleader in high school. I was the first cheerleader in the state with Down syndrome. My cheerleading team went to state, and we went on to nationals where we won our National Sportsmanship Award in Washington, D.C. Since I've been out of high school, I was a fashion model in a Global Down Syndrome Foundation fashion show, and I used to work at the Mile High Down Syndrome Association where I help them with events. I now go to the bridge program in Highlands Ranch where I'm learning how to be a public speaker. I have a lot of skills. I have a lot of dreams. What I want to say is to you, don't limit me. Don't limit me by thinking that I can't learn in your classroom. Don't limit me by thinking that I will always need someone to help me. Don't limit me by having low expectations for me. Include me in all your students in your circle of learning while you are planning for my world-class education. Think about how I have the same needs as our students. We all need life skills. We all need work skills. I need for you to teach me skills beyond reading and math. Teach me how to learn, teach me how to act. Think about what I need to know to be able to do when I leave school. Help me learn to be independent in class. Help me learn to be independent with friends. Help me learn to be independent and safe running around our school. Teach me to be independent so I can become an independent adult. I need to work independently. I need to speak up for myself. Don't limit me by teaching me to depend on others. Teach me respect, because respect is give and take. Hold me to the same behavior, expectations as others in your classroom. Teach me how to behave and excel in your class. Don't limit me by making me class mascot. Teach me what you expect from me. Set high expectations, not impossible expectations. There is a difference, you know. You will learn a lot from me. Good teachers teach and learn with their students. I will teach you a lot about yourself. I will teach your students about people with disabilities. If you don't limit me, we will teach our school how to be an inclusive community. You, my teacher, are the person who's going to teach me power, passion, love, and independence. And I will become a powerful, passionate, loving, and independent adult. So please don't limit me. My name is Megan Baumgart. Thank you for your time today. Have a wonderful new school year.
So obviously she's speaking to teachers, but what resonated with you in that video? Anything connect with you?
But sometimes we allow students with a disability to take advantage of our time,
Yeah.
like, and don't hold them accountable for their actions as much as we do a regular, well, I don't want to say regular, but
A typically developing peer?
correct.
Yeah, yeah.
And how do we stop doing that?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. It's tricky. It's so tricky. Absolutely it is, right? Holding our students to those high expectations, yet understanding they might need other supports or a different response from us. Absolutely. Anything else resonate with you?
Don't all speak at once.
Right?
It's for me like the knowing kind of what a traditional learning path looks like, and then how do you kind of lay those next stones for folks who have a completely different path that you as a coach aren't familiar with.
Familiar with. Exactly. Exactly. When I was watching this, I've watched it many, many times, and I've used this video many times in different presentations. But when I was watching it again for the purpose of this presentation, I was really connecting to that you are teaching these students skills for life. You're teaching them collaboration, communication. You're teaching them how to be part of something bigger than themselves. And those are the skills that she's talking about. We all need life skills. We all need job skills. And that's the work that you are doing that is so valuable. And so don't limit yourself with that either, right? Take that. You have been gifted and given that opportunity. So take that and really hold true to that. You have the power to kind of change their projection of their life as well. This might be an opportunity for them to succeed that they never would have tapped into. One thing that you may or may not have noticed is that anytime I show a video, I'm using closed captioning, right? I don't know if any of you have visual impairments or have hearing impairments, right? But just naturally putting in those inclusive supports for all, we all benefit. I even now I watch TV and I'm always asking my husband, can we please turn on the closed captioning? Like and he'll be like, why? And I'm like, I'm tired and I want to process what's going on, right? So that's just a nice, simple accommodation that you can find and you can use and just layer on. Anytime that you're giving verbal directions, if you can layer on a visual, if you can use a whiteboard, if you can use a little, what were those called? The little whiteboards that kids have, like on a little rectangle there, like the size of a piece of construction paper, little whiteboard, and a dry erase marker, right? Even having those tools you can very quickly make a visual chart. So if you've got directions that you're giving, and you've got your board, and I don't have any markers in here, but you can very quickly, step 1, step 2, step 3, right? So that's just one support that you could very easily embed into what you're doing that won't take a lot of extra time. Anything else with this video that resonated with you?
Just the idea that, sort of give everybody the same expectation and they'll rise up, they'll sort of think like this person may not be capable. And so you're subconsciously always thinking that and you probably feel that. So
absolutely.
They also feel like they can do everything else that
Yes. Absolutely. Right. Our children will rise. It's that self-fulfilling prophecy. If we believe that they can do it and we build in the supports for them, they're going to rise to that, especially in clubs and activities where they see you dedicating your time to them. On the reverse, right? If they are feeling like this is another place in their life where people are underestimating them, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They may rise to that estimation as well. Absolutely. I love this video because there's just so much in there. It talks about how she's a student that with Down syndrome, there's often a cognitive disability that goes along with that. But she shows that she went on to have a very successful career. And we have to remember that our students with disabilities, ultimately, that is their goal. So, well, I hope you don't mind, but I need your help to kind of think through what are the things that you face and how can we support and what ideas do you need in order to kind of help our students be participants in this club. So team roles and flexible participation, right? You have builders, you have coders, researchers, presenters, and organizers, correct? Yes? Okay. So is it fair to say that you're assigning students to each of these roles? No. How does that work? Tell me more. How does that work?
Our team, we rotate through everything.
You rotate through everything. Okay. How do you teach what those different roles entail? What does that look like?
I do that to you.
Yeah, you model it. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. So a lot of modeling. When you have, so they're each doing each of these roles. Are they all doing builder at the same time?
It depends.
Okay.
We'll start as well. And we'll go through what the expectations for the meeting and ask the kids, okay, from your project plan or, what do you want to get accomplished today? And then we split off and then we rotate through. So it really depends on number one, who showed up.
Yeah.
Kids,
Something's gonna look a little different.
Exactly. And then we just kind of rotate and then we have, for most teams, we have 2 or 3 adults and then a student mentor as well.
Okay.
So we're able to have a leader, adult or mentor leader for each group and then make sure the kids are kind of staying on task. I'm not good at that. I like to have a lot of fun. So in my group, sometimes we divert and end up not getting as much accomplished as we would want to, but the end result is, are they learning something? Are they having fun? And are they going home excited?
Yeah, you're sticking to those core values, right? So, okay, just a couple ideas that I had for that type of situation. If there is a way to pre-make, like, here's what you can expect when we're in the builder role. And one other question. Are each of these roles in a different like type of environment or different part of the room that you have available? Sometimes that might help, because then you could have, okay, here's our builder area, right? And you could have a visual that outlines when we're in the builder role, this is what our purpose is, and this is what we expect. We expect you to be safe with the materials. I expect you to be experimenting with the materials, something like that, like very quick, like students will or builders will. What do you call your kids? Are they what are they? Teammates. Teammates. So you could say teammates will, right? Do X, Y, or Z. Just having different areas for each of these roles could help a student structurally see, okay, when I'm over here, I'm expected to do these things, but when I'm over here, I'm expected to do these things.
Just a question.
Yeah.
I've been in FLL very long. And in the beginning, I burned myself out because I was doing like 8 to 10 hours of prep for a 2-hour meeting.
Yeah.
And to enjoy it more, I was like,
I gotta pull this back.
gotta get okay with doing it
Totally.
because work, I'm a mom of 3.
Yes. Totally. Uh-huh. Exactly. It's too much time. Okay.
Honestly, in place on that.
Good. Yeah. It's good. That's a good question. Wing it. Okay.
Honest to God, I read the book
Yeah.
before we start meetings. I read through the engineering notebook, I read through the robot guide, I watch YouTube videos, and then I just make sure.
Winging it.
That's fine. Season even start.
Oh, okay. Season. Okay.
Before the season starts with the students in the classroom, I do that just so that I know what they need to get through. And then I let them dictate what we do. So if the kids come in and they had, right now I have 5th graders. I have 2 teams of 5th graders and I have an 8th grade team with 1 7th grader. So they're all in different parts of their schooling, right? So the 5th graders are hardcore as heck. They're ready to go. My 8th graders come in and they're like, it's Friday after school. They're done. And all they want to do is they just want to get through simple things. But then when they come in on Sunday, they're ready to go. So as long as I have that same mentality and I understand what we need to get accomplished and just keep them on track, as long as they go home and they're still excited about the program, I'm doing my job correctly.
Is there a way to break down the tasks very general, like having like a 1-pager that we maybe laminate or we stick in a page protector that's general around builder for the season versus builder for that day? Is that something that would be like helpful to a student in general when you're at the role of builder? Here's your general expectations.
Doing something so different day to day, like they might be first just analyzing the robot board, even under like the builder color umbrella, it morphs as the season goes on.
Got it.
Sitting around playing with attachments, building a robot, coding. So I mean, you could technically like list all of that. That could be overwhelming.
That could be overwhelming. Yeah.
I mean, at least I find their goals change through the different phases of the season.
Got it. It sounds to me like it might be easiest to get yourself one of those little whiteboards and a dry erase marker. And that way then on the fly, in the moment, you can give some very quick bullet points. Here's what you need to do in this role. And then you can jump from this group to that group to that group. And maybe you need 4 or 5 of these whiteboards just to leave it with them. It doesn't even have to be a whiteboard. It could be a piece of paper and you use a Sharpie, marker it out, but giving them that visual expectation that you can come back to in that moment. I hear you totally, right? I also hear that there's a lot of change that happens day to day, and that can be very challenging for our students with disabilities. And that's maybe why you might see more behaviors, because they're like, I can't even figure out what I'm supposed to do.
Well, it's challenges for every member of the team because each and every child has their own unique approach.
Yeah.
Passions.
Yeah.
In addition to whatever
Right.
individually they're dealing with.
Yeah.
Having been in personally, otherwise I try to keep it relatively simple. I'll take some of those tools and simplify them. We have in the past done a lot of just whiteboard. My team fell in love with a timeline
Yes.
because they were able to say, here's where we're at today.
What do we need to accomplish?
Regionals. What do we have to accomplish by then?
And backwards.
It changes their perspective. And last year my team is now mostly 7th graders with a couple 8th graders. They're maturing. They're also getting more tired because there's a lot more expected of them. And
yeah, exactly.
So I don't necessarily want my team to be, there's more stuff to learn here.
No, right.
And this is supposed to be their creative space.
Yes.
To a certain degree. So yes, well, I need to bring some of that information to them. I try not to be like a text.
You don't want it to be school either, right?
So my challenge has been morphing based on what each one of them responds to. How do we get the whole team kind of on the same
page
and productive and progressing?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of times where you've got, anywhere from 7 to 10 kids and they're in different spaces. They're tired, they're cranky,
exactly.
I got you guys, I got you.
Oh yeah, you got it all. Exactly. Yeah.
Do more, like,
exactly.
Or they come into this environment like,
I don't want to do this. My mom or dad are making me do this, right?
Do research mode, or so it gets challenging regardless of who they are, what their abilities are, to try and get them all on the same page. Pick a tool that works for the team, that's centered and focused and on track.
Totally.
The rest of it will
fall into place.
It also depends on the team and maybe coach's ambitions.
True.
What they want to do.
That's true.
But ultimately, don't fry them out.
Yeah.
Let them let them learn.
Yeah. And don't fry yourself out either, right?
It's a challenge because sometimes keep them in that environment.
It's exhausting.
And that's why it's like, and you have to balance, where they say they want to go versus the actual input.
The reality.
And maybe they want to do certain things, but they're not coming together and making it happen. And at some point, that's got to be on the kids and on the team.
Totally. Yes.
Kids program.
Yeah.
And having been in corporate America and an engineer and all these other things, this is stuff I learned in college and in the corporate world. And we're teaching it to 5th graders.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Totally.
And build.
I love that.
And then some kids are just going to want to do coding. Make them aware of what's happening in the rest of the team.
Right.
Make them all experts in
everything. Exactly. So if we go back to those core values, right? Like building on what is their strength, what do they want to do? How do we make it fun for them? A couple things I heard you say, like timeline, teaching them executive function. So a very fast way to map out that timeline, draw it. Do you all have access to whiteboards? I'm like, okay. Draw that on the right. Draw it on the board, draw out the timeline, or even if you need it to be long term, draw it on chart paper, something like that. Make it on the computer. I don't care what it is, but that timeline is so key because then you can constantly come back to where do we need to be and where are we now? And that shouldn't take a whole lot of prep on your part. Like it doesn't have to be every step of everything, but bringing them back to, okay, is what you're doing going to help us get to here? If not, what do we need to do?
And then our challenge is that captured and documented straight in for those purposes. But in terms of actually getting engaged in doing something, those tools have been kind of our tool.
Right.
I know some teams are using Kanban and now we're combining both of those. Yeah. We're doing it online this year. My daughter spent the summer trying to create a functioning Kanban board online that where it's kind of like a video game where you can supposed to know, you can use a regular remote, or you can use a keyboard, and now she switched it around to a PlayStation, because she has some kids with difficulties that understand the Xbox and the PlayStation controller is better than a mouse.
And they came up with their own solution?
I mean, I told her we needed a solution.
Uh-huh.
And she couldn't.
Wait, who did you tell? I'm sorry.
My daughter.
Your daughter.
Yeah,
Okay, yes.
Grade.
8th grade. Okay.
She plays lacrosse, and then why she's just kind of like laying in her bed all summer.
Uh-huh.
So I told her you need to do something that's gonna help teams going forward. So we tested it out yesterday. It worked okay, except for the post-its kept moving back to where they originally went, where they came from. They weren't staying in the doing done. They weren't staying where they were. So we got some technical problems, but
That's so cool.
hopefully we'll be able to give it out to the teams next week and they
Right.
can use it. And then it's electronic, so it shows the timeline. And like when you move stuff over, it logs the date.
Okay.
Of when you moved it.
So a little bit of a challenge maybe for those that prefer the manual method and then converting it and track
I think greatly, maybe. Correct.
and
Correct.
vice versa.
Correct. Like, some students like to visually be able to hold something.
Mm-hmm.
And other students would rather have it online so they'd rather be a computer. Right. They'd rather just be a computer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
use the technology that's, that we're afforded, I guess.
Right. What I'm hearing over and over about the intricacies of this work that you're doing is executive functioning, that you are teaching children high-level executive functioning skills. If you are looking for more resources on executive functioning, a woman named Sarah Ward, she's an occupational therapist by trade, I believe speech and language therapist as well. She specializes in executive functioning for kids. You can go to her website. At the end, I'll try to bring up her website, but she has some great tools. Sounds similar to like what you were saying with moving the Post-its around, things like that, that could be a simple tool that you could use. She also describes like what's called a ready, do, done plan. So it's basically taking the timeline that you guys were talking about and saying, okay, paint done. What does done look like? And then we work backwards and we map out, okay, if done is here, what are the steps we have to take to get to done? What are the materials we need? And then you work the plan. So then you work towards done. She maps that out visually. Again, what I'm hearing is that there's so much executive function that we need some of those very simple visual tools. Communication strategies, use clear, plain language. My biggest recommendation to you would be find ways to very quickly give visuals, whether it's you draw a picture or you write out the steps. I can imagine that in your environment, there's a lot going on and it's loud and it's probably chaotic. And it's supposed to be fun, right? But not all of us find loud, chaotic environments fun. So if there's ways that we can build in spaces for quiet breaks, if we can have headphones or fidgets available, oftentimes asking the parents, right? Can you please provide your kid with headphones? Do they ever wear headphones when, they go out into the community or when they're at assemblies or things like that? Oh yeah, then let's have them here too, right? Breaking tasks into smaller manageable steps. That's exactly what we're talking about. That's the work that you're doing already. So it's recognizing that they may need it broken down for them even more. Kind of going back to what Sue was saying earlier, that building that team culture, how do we do that? We do that by modeling. The more that you model that each of us come with strengths, the more that our students are going to see that and really believe that. Teaching teammates to support each other. I think that's a perfect example of posing a problem to the group and saying, what can we come up with, right? If you would have posed that problem to me, I would have never come up with a Xbox remote control, right? But they can. So posing that to them and being honest, hey guys, this isn't working. What can we do to fix it? They can come up with their own solutions too. using those core values, I think going back and showing the students those values could be very helpful. Are we accomplishing this, you guys? Is this fun? Do we have teamwork? They can reflect on that. And it doesn't have to be like school when you do that. Okay, so I was hopeful that we could get to talking with each other about different scenarios that you have, and then let's problem solve. I know there's got to be problems that you're already thinking about. So what are some of those struggles you're facing?
Go first. She's great. Needed this last and she had one of everything and bring
All right. What do you got going on? Okay.
Electrical boxes that may go ceiling, and this is my regular,
Yep. Your 5th grade group. Okay.
And then
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
they're banging at it. At what point can I just say, one sit on the floor for a minute?
Yep.
It's like
I would.
momming,
Uh-huh.
disciplining other people's kids. Like
It feels weird. But you're the coach, and that's okay, right? And so
maybe just like bang and make you punish the whole group and say we all need to sit on the ground and understand you don't bang on the thing on the ceiling.
Yep. I think so. I don't think that's wrong. And you can do it as everybody sit down. I cannot, my brain, it is Friday night at 7:00. And like modeling that for them. You guys, I can't handle this banging. I asked you to stop twice, and then let's talk through it. You guys, why are we doing that? And they're probably gonna look at you like, I don't know. Right? And then you can talk with them about, does that help us get to our goal? You know, and showing them like this behavior isn't working for us.
I got trained as a teacher.
Yeah.
You know,
Right. Yep. Yep. It's a little bit of both, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes a redirect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let's work on this.
Let's work on this. Bring them back to the goal, right? Bring them back to the goal. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't just say, hey, knock it off.
And they do that? They listen? They don't listen. Sometimes
The ants in their pants, they're get all, and
They're-
they're not all on the same mode at the same time. You've got
No.
everything happening at the same time. So yeah.
right. Fair. And you also may need to realize that they've been in school for 7.5 hours, right? Or however long your school day is. They're exhausted. Sometimes if they are students with ADHD, their meds are worn off, right? So
I've had one I have to do this for you.
yeah,
You have to be here. We don't have to have a team.
yeah,
What do you guys want? Why are you here?
right,
What are we trying to do?
yeah,
Are we trying to get them?
yeah.
It's not just their time. It's your time.
It's your time. I think it's very fair to sit them down and be like, yeah,
But I think
it's okay, because then you can get the peer.
Twice they start to teach.
Exactly. You guys, are we gonna meet our goal of getting to regionals if we're banging around on the extension cords? No. So
Council say, yeah.
how are we gonna really? All right, let's look at this timeline, you guys. And I think it's coming not from like the strict teacher lens, but like, you guys, I'm here for you, but this isn't gonna work, right? Starting there, building that relationship with them. And then if they keep doing it, then it's a conversation of, is this really something that you want to be doing? And maybe it is, or maybe it isn't. But then leveraging their parents as well. Like
Some of that, if you go back to your team forming, your forming, storming, norming, performing.
okay,
I've had progression over 4 years where we get a group, they kind of get to that norming, performing, and then you add a new element and you go back. So you have to redo those steps. Not completely, but
Right.
there's a certain adjustment period.
Yeah.
And that's, I think the challenging part is constantly morphing and, you're kind of on this path and you have to
take a step back. And I think that a big piece is we do have to teach them those expected behaviors. They don't always know them. And just because we say it doesn't mean that they understand. So we do have to teach them. So yeah, I don't think it's wrong to pull the whole group and talk through like, why is this a problem, right? Yeah.
Like, kind of what I have like the whole group. And sometimes like they're all on really good days, so there's this one kiddo who just isn't focused on a task. Like the kids have like a Canva or a list of things, and we'll just be like, why don't you take a break from that and just try something else?
Yeah.
And because sometimes their actions are distracting the other group things to come away and do something different.
Yeah.
And then they might come back to it, or they might, that new task wasn't good for either, so they go to another one.
Yep. Redirect.
Check it a lot.
Uh-huh.
Do that.
Right. And sometimes just like after a long day or they're mood that day, that isn't quite the right thing for them. Like
Kind of shifting that.
to come together. And sometimes it's just, why don't you try something different with this other?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Bless you all. That all I can say is bless you, right? Like you are stepping into a role and changing lives, and you're not teachers, right? And you have kids that have been in school all day, right? There's so much going on in this that just give yourself grace too.
what kind of tools are available for like students that can't read, but we need them to be able to participate?
Okay.
Like,
Is there a lot of reading that needs to happen?
there is reading that needs to happen, like, especially when you're going through like the innovation project, different, they give us an engineering notebook and a team meeting guide. And some of the stuff you want the kids to actually read it so that they kind of understand it. And I have a couple of kids in my 5th grade that they have a lot of trouble reading. They just have reading problems.
Deficits, yeah. Is it paper or is it online?
It depends.
Okay.
We have it via paper.
Okay.
I mean, I could print more if I had to, but we do a lot of stuff using like what you're doing, right?
Okay. So a couple different options. There are things called reader pens. Basically, there's different brands. So a C pen is a specific brand, like Kleenex's tissue, where it's a highlighter pen that they highlight over the sentence and it reads to them. Some students have that in their what's called an IEP for school. So that's something that we could look into, or you could look into. I would also ask the parents, like, what are they using at school to help the child read, right? What could we put into place? If it is digital, there's a bunch of different programs. One's called Kami, that is often on students' Chromebooks, things like that from the school. It is a software that allows kids to like annotate over a document, but it'll also read a document to them. Google Read and Write is another one that students often have access to from school. So are they bringing like their school laptops or things like that too? Okay. So they might have a Google Read Write or a Kami application that will read text to them.
What if the student nor parents have self-identified as having a disability? Obviously, you can see it.
You see it. Yeah.
But you don't want to be that person to be like,
Right.
want to just, some people don't want to self-identify because they don't want that
Exactly.
title or characterization or
Utilizing peer supports, assigning a reader that you know is more skilled in reading. Say, can you read this to the group? Right? Naturally, not, hey, I need you to read with Monica because Monica can't read, but can you read this to the group? Joey's going to read it out loud. Everybody, we're going to listen. Kind of utilizing that, or even checking in with Joey. Hey, can you be a leader for me? Can you lead the reading of this direction? That might be a natural support. Are there ways that the kiddos? This is in school, so sorry. I have my like school teacher hat on, but I was going to say, are there ways that the kiddos get access to those directions ahead of time?
I mean, not really. I mean,
Nah.
I guess we share the resources, like at the beginning of the season, here's the, kickoff video. I've given my kids homework where, it goes to the parents because 5th graders, I can't email directly, which is crazy, but so it goes to the parents, and then I'm putting it on the parents to make sure that their kid is actually doing it. And 9 out of 10 times the kids come to and I
No.
didn't even know I had homework. I'm like,
Right.
where is your dad? Like,
Yeah, scratch that. I think utilizing peer supports to do the reading, you do the reading. Um, if you can utilize any digital programs like Cami or Google Read Write, it'll read it out loud for them. And again, thinking what's good for one is good for all. So everybody can benefit if we have the passage or the directions read aloud, like we're all listening to it. Does anyone else have any other suggestions of breaking down the reading for students?
I don't like to read myself.
I know,
So
right?
reading to kids and them correcting me when I say a word wrong, I'd rather them just read it.
Yeah. Well, an hour went incredibly fast here. And I feel like I've learned a lot, and maybe I've learned more than I offered you. I apologize. But this quote resonated with me in the work that you're doing. Inclusion is not bringing people into what already exists. It's making a new space, a better space for everyone. And I think that's the work that you do each year with the projects that you have, right? You're starting from fresh every single year, and you're building that robot and that task, and you're building that community, that team. Exactly. And so I would encourage you to tap into parents, tap into the students themselves. Hey, what works for you? When you're at school, what works for you to read those directions? What helps you, right? And having those conversations with them. Holding high expectations. It's okay to hold them accountable and to have those tough conversations with, this behavior isn't going to work for us. What can we do about it? That builds community.
Monica, one thing that we do in maybe too is we have at the school I work at a contract that lays out, and it's based on the core values, what our expectations are. And when we have a parent meeting, we all went through it together, and the parents and the kids started. And like last night, I had a thing, and so I grabbed the young person's contract that they had, and we went and we talked about where in this expectation are we not meeting. So having something, and that's something new for me now, and this is like, Monica asked how long you do this. This is my 24th year doing this. And
Right? Oh,
pieces of paper that they signed and has it all lined out was really, really helpful, because then you can remember, what we talked about as a talked about. So that's one thing you have, the expectations, like you have your team rules and they sign them. So something that you can always point back to, and just like you said, hey, that was unexpected.
that was unexpected.
It's going to be the same thing we do with the presentation contract that last. I'm doing it with the presentation contract. My first year when I did came to the middle school, I was on the beacon of the great lighting to see the different all different kids and the different levels of interest. Some kids problem I had was some kids are parents told they're going to do this and they didn't want to be
And they don't want to be there. Yeah, that's challenging.
Value, but it's that exact same thing. It's actually when they register, when the parents register, it's part of the disclaimer checkbox. Essentially, it says you and your child agree to this spatial contract, and I do the same thing that you do. I review it during the parent informational meeting. Right after sign.
We do something similar. I create a survey just for the kids. So it's not exactly that, but I give it to the kids at the end of the year, and it's helpful for return students. But we ask them like, what would help you more in the robot room? What is your favorite part? That's super helpful, because we learned like some kids, if they don't get that snack break halfway through, that's like the end.
Right.
The quiet room, or I want a fun room, so that one thing.
Sorry.
This one next year needs to be 2 sessions long.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Got it. There is a resource. I found it on the First Lego website for students with disabilities, and these links I found to be very helpful. All right.